Viewers, a country is only as secular as its laws and the choices its political parties make. The Constitution may describe India as a secular state, but if a nation's legislators draw up laws that favor a religious community exclusively, disadvantaging others, then that country ceases to be a secular or inclusive democracy. I'm not stating anything unusual. Unfortunately, a section of political parties have been indulging in minorityism for decades, and there seems to be no end to acts that undermine India's constitutional pluralism. Today, certain political parties who describe themselves as avowedly secular have lined up to promise religion-based reservation quotas exclusively for Muslims. These quotas, as you all know, have been deemed illegal by the Supreme Court of India. These political parties are also targeting those who want a Muslim supremacist like Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb deplatformed or oppose the amendments to the Waqf Act of 1995 that will arguably make the law that much more inclusive. Let's examine these issues one by one, viewers, and as always, I bring you the hard facts so you can get closer to the truth and sift fact from fiction. Here, as you can see on your screens, the entire opposition, viewers, they're right in the center. All those placard-waving politicians. Well, viewers, they comprised of a number of opposition leaders that backed a protest called by the sectarian Muslim party, the AIMIM, in the capital today. The MIM wants to scuttle the proposed Waqf Amendment Bill. But here's what they're opposing, viewers. Let's go one by one. They're opposing the inclusion of a non-Muslim members in the Waqf. Governance, ensuring that governance is not exclusive to one religious community. This is fundamental, viewers. You need inclusivity in any board. They oppose the responsibility of serving Waqf properties, which is now shifted from the Waqf Survey Commissioner to the District Collector. This removes the provision that allowed properties to be declared Waqf based on long-term usage without legal documentation. In other words, viewers, it takes away the untrammeled powers of the Waqf board to grab land, public land. Because the decision on declaring that land a Waqf property has now been moved outside of this particular board. It prevents, therefore, the arbitrary classification of properties as Waqf, ensuring fairness in land and property laws. It allows individuals and organizations to challenge Waqf tribunal decisions directly in the High Court. This was simply not allowed. So if someone's land got taken over, they had to go back and seek redressal from the Waqf board. And the Waqf board, viewers, would then sit in its own judgment, which, as you know, is fraught with implications. Indeed, by any objective yardstick, the amendments are aimed at ensuring that the Waqf Act of 1995 doesn't give one community untrammeled powers to grab public land. To suggest that these amendments are Islamophobic is, as some say, to perpetuate a sense of Muslim separateness. Why, for example, should Muslims be allowed a free hand by law to maintain their places of worship or that are particular to their religion, while Hindus aren't? All Hindu places of worship are state-controlled. It's not just the Waqf Act, but bizarrely a group of political parties are also now taking exception to calls being made to deplatform Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Viewers, a member of the India bloc, the main opposition bloc, the Sena UBT, in its mouthpiece, the Samna has said the following, and I quote, "Some new Hindutva advocates have raised such voices claiming that just as the Babri Masjid was demolished, they will also destroy Aurangzeb's tomb. These people are enemies of history and Maharashtra's proud tradition. They want to spread poison in Maharashtra's atmosphere and present themselves as Hindu Taliban," unquote. It's no one's case that vigilantes should be given a free hand to vandalize But to villainize any historical revision is also wrong, viewers. The BJP has taken strong exception to the opposition's claim that it is abetting the so-called Hindu Taliban. Maharashtra Chief Minister, Mr. Fadnavis, has backed calls to get rid of monuments dedicated to Aurangzeb, but only through the legal route. He's emphasized that the legal route must be followed. But yes, we must move eventually to deplatforming the man in the middle of your screens. Viewers, listen.
आज हे ठीक आहे, खरं म्हणजे त्या औरंग्याची कबर कशाला हवी, परंतु आपल्याला देखील कल्पना आहे की एएसआयने त्याला 50 वर्षापूर्वी संरक्षित म्हणून अशा प्रकारचं त्या ठिकाणी स्थळ म्हणून घोषित केलेलं आहे आणि म्हणून त्याचं संरक्षण देखील करायची जबाबदारी ही राज्य सरकारवर आणि केंद्र सरकारवर येऊन पडलेली आहे. काय दुर्दैव आहे, ज्या औरंग्याने आमच्या हजारो लोकांना मारलं त्याच्याच कबरीचं संरक्षण आम्हाला करावं लागतं. पण एक वचन तुम्हाला निश्चितपणे देतो, काहीही झालं तरी या महाराष्ट्रामध्ये औरंगजेबाच्या कबरीचं महिमा मंडन होऊ देणार नाही, त्याचं उदात्तीकरण होऊ देणार नाही. त्याचं उदात्तीकरण करण्याचा कोणी प्रयत्न केला तर तो प्रयत्न त्याच ठिकाणी चिरडून टाकण्याचं काम या आम्ही केल्याशिवाय राहणार नाही. हे वचन छत्रपती शिवरायांच्या या मंदिराच्या समोर आपल्या सर्वांना मी देतो.
But ask yourself, should Aurangzeb be edified at all? Should some self-avowed secular politicians be making a beeline for his tomb to pay their respects annually? Aurangzeb's odious bigotry quite literally speaks for itself. And yet again, viewers, are some hard facts. He reimposed jizya on so-called non-believers in 1679. Aurangzeb's farman testifies to this. He himself testified to this on the 2nd of April 1679, instructs officers to collect jizya from Hindus, which was stopped, of course, by Akbar. So that practice was renewed under Aurangzeb, and which led to tremendous hardship among Hindus, and those Hindus who couldn't pay up were forcibly converted, viewers. The Muqtabab-ul-Labab by Kafi Khan, a Persian source in the 18th century, states that the tax was enforced rigorously and led to widespread protest amongst Hindus. Here's another hard fact: disruption of Hindu temples. The Fatwa-e-Alamgiri mentions temple destruction as part of religious policy. Aurangzeb's Farman of 9th April 1669 orders the destruction of Vishwanath temple in Banaras. 1670, another edict orders the demolition of Keshava-Deo temple, Mathura, and some construction of the Shahi Eidgah mosque. Here's another hard fact, viewers: suppression of Hindu festivals. The Masir-e-Alamgiri, once again, a book that was the de facto autobiography of Aurangzeb, mentions Aurangzeb prohibited public Holi and Diwali celebrations in Delhi and other major cities. It's a bit rich for a certain section to suggest that those calling for cancelling out Aurangzeb are wanting to turn India into a Hindu Pakistan. After all, is there, for instance, a town called Hitler in Germany? And if these groups oppose moves to deny Aurangzeb a pedestal, why do they back the Black Lives Movement that wanted to pull down the statues of Confederate generals in the USA? These are moot questions, and they will be posed in this program in just a short while. But there is more, viewers. More questions. The opposition Congress government in Karnataka has decided to notify reserving 4% of all government-funded public works contracts for Muslim contractors. The quota is being opposed tooth and nail because the law of the land expressly forbids solely religion-based quotas. But the Karnataka government is refusing to back down, paving the way for a legal tussle, a tussle that by all accounts it will lose. Here are some precedents that the Congress government there is blithely overlooking. Here's another hard fact, viewers: the Indira Soni case. In 1992, the Supreme Court said no reservations solely based on religion. The Andhra Pradesh Muslim quota was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2005 and 2010. Maharashtra, Maratha and Muslim quota was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2014 and 2017. Karnataka BJP government scrapped the 4% Muslim quota and OBC reservations in 2023. The Supreme Court did not reinstate the quota immediately, but allowed a legal challenge. The matter is in court. Allow the court to rule once and for all. Why jump to awarding quotas? Viewers, there are several other precedents. All these facts and arguments prompt a basic question. How is backing laws and policies that perpetuate Muslim exclusivism, as some people call it, secular? Before we open it up to our guests, I want to go straight across to Member of Parliament from Karnataka, a BJP leader, Tejasvi Surya, who held a press conference today saying that his party and he himself was going to challenge the Karnataka government's decision to go ahead with this quota. Thank you, Mr. Surya, for speaking to CNN News 18. You've decided now to legally challenge the Congress Karnataka government's Muslim quota policy. And I want to ask you, do you have a case? And if so, what is it?
Absolutely, Rahul. The courts across the country, including multiple high courts and the Supreme Court, have time and again reiterated the position that the Constitution of India does not permit, does not envisage a religion-based reservation of any kind in the country. Straight from the time of framing of the Constitution, this idea was debated and this idea was rejected tooth and nail by the framers of the Constitution. Including Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who said that this idea of religion-based reservation is a fatal dose against the country's unity and integrity, that it's an idea which will lead to the balkanization of India. So the courts have time and again, whether it was in 2004 in the case of Andhra Pradesh government's misadventure of a similar 4% vote, 4% reservation for Muslims, or a much later attempt by the West Bengal government to introduce en masse all Muslims as OBCs. All these attempts have become futile because the courts have struck down such constitutional misadventures. That's the same fate that the Karnataka government's attempt will also go.
No, but there are people who say that your party, the BJP, and you are being hypocritical as a Muslim quota exists in BJP government Gujarat since when Prime Minister Modi was Chief Minister there before 2014. How do you respond to that?
No, it is wrong that such a quota exists anywhere else. The Constitution explicitly and in totality rejects reservations based only on religion. In the case of the SCs and STs, the Constitution has a presumption of social and economic backwardness. In the case of the OBCs, a demonstrated need of social and educational and economic backwardness is needed to provide for reservations. Leaving aside the SCs and STs, no community in the country can have reservations on the basis of being a particular community without a social economic backwardness and economic backwardness and educational backwardness being a criteria. In the case of the Karnataka government's effort to make 4% reservation available in government tenders, no effort has been made to establish social and economic and educational backwardness and create a nexus between how such backwardness is going to be ameliorated by providing 4% reservation in government tenders. These are absolutely two different things, and on the very face of it, this looks blatantly unconstitutional. It is patently illegal, and most importantly, Rahul, quoting the words of Baba Saheb Ambedkar again, it is a threat to the country's national integration, national unity. I also want to highlight another aspect of the budget that has not received enough scrutiny by public and by political parties. In addition to this 4% reservation, the Chief Minister has also announced a scheme called the Chief Minister's Muslim Colony Development Fund. And 1,000 crore rupees has been allotted for this scheme. Now I want to ask you, what is this minority colony or Muslim colony development? For how long do we continue the ghettoization of this country? On one hand, the government says they do not have enough money to even fill potholes in the city of Bengaluru, and on the other, they find 1,000 crore rupees to exclusively fund only Muslim colonies in the state.
No, but
have we not learned lessons from 1947 of the partition of the country, of vivisection of the country on the basis of religious lines? Governments that have sworn on secularism, those who say and claim to be ambassadors of Baba Saheb's legacy, those who say that they claim to be self-appointed custodians of secularism, they are creating Hindu-Muslim colonies and funding Muslim colonies in the country. What is happening? This is the nature of...
No, but one opposition party, the Sena UBT, says by pushing the Waqf Amendment Bill, opposing quotas for Muslims and vilifying Aurangzeb, you are degrading Muslims and turning India into a Hindu Pakistan. How do you respond to that charge?
Well, the Shiv Sena UBT must be the last party and the last leadership ever to comment on or has any moral authority to question any party, whether it is on secularism or whether it is on nationalism-based politics. Because on both sides, they have turned out to be hypocrites, and the only thing that drives their politics is the politics of opportunity. Be that as it may, Rahul, the most important aspect of this entire debate is not vote bank politics or politics that is going to affect the country in the next 2 years or the next election cycle, but the impact these kind of politics will have on the country's future, say 25, 30, 50 years from now.
Well, that's your claim.
The state of Karnataka is giving a very clear message. If you are a poor SC, ST or OBC Hindu or a Hindu belonging to any other caste in the Hindu fold, you will not be given any special benefit. But if you convert and become a Muslim, you will then be eligible for a 4% reservation. This is the state
that swears
by secularism, by the constitution, incentivizing conversion.
Okay.
Second, in the earlier avatar of the Siddaramaiah government, the Congress government had withdrawn about 1,600 odd cases against the PFI and the KFD and SDPI. It resulted in a spate of murders taking place in Karnataka. Karnataka becoming, witnessing communal turmoil. In this avatar, by this 4% reservation, a ploy is under play to financially empower these very organizations and its activists financially by this 4% reservation. After the union government has banned PFI and designated it as a terrorist organization, most of its on-ground foot soldiers are unemployed. They are having no other financial means. This 4% reservation is a way to empower them.
Well,
third, and most importantly, I go back and recall the wise words of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Attempts of this kind of Muslim colony development fund, 4% reservation only on the basis of religion, such actions will lead to the balkanization of India, have the potential of...
We'll of course track... Okay, Mr. Surya, we'll of course track the case that you will pursue in the Supreme Court or in the High Court or the lower courts or wherever you choose to move a petition against these quotas to see if your arguments stand the test of scrutiny, judicial scrutiny. But thank you for speaking to us. I want to open this up, viewers, and bring in some of our guests. Syed Asad Abbas, let me begin with you this evening. Can I ask you, if you do believe that the Waqf as it exists doesn't, at one level, advantage the Muslims, Muslim community through the Waqf Act gets total control over its place of worship and so on and so forth. The Waqf Act empowers the head of the Waqf board to claim any property. There are several other instrumentalities that give it untrammeled power. The Waqf itself has become one of the largest landholders in India. And when claims are made even on temples, which predate Islam, for instance, there are sectarian tensions. So there is a need to reform the Waqf Act, and especially when you consider that Hindus are not given this privilege, that the government runs its temples, their temples, and so on and so forth. So why should there be this dichotomy? Mr. Abbas.
Yes, definitely. Rahul Saab, firstly, I come from Bengaluru South. My member of parliament spoke on your show. It's unfortunate that he only showed one side and not the other side. I will tell you what Tejasvi Surya has not said. The state of Karnataka, my beautiful state of Karnataka, state GDP has grown by 7.4%. Agriculture witnessed growth of 4%. The state GDP has outpaced the national growth by 6.2%. And these are facts out there in the public domain. It's unfortunate the same Tejasvi Surya had BJP in the government would gloat on these facts, but today he will not. He will not say this. Now, it's very interesting how he speaks of the 4% allocation, Muslim, ghettoization. Respected sir, please read the full budget, 149-page budget. I will tweet him if he wants to, a PDF file, which also says 199 crore allocation for the development of the Sri Renuka Yellamma temple. Funds in the budget allocated will also be started to work on removal of all those encouragement on 298 temples which have come here in Karnataka. Not just that, temple priest annual salary to be increased from 60,000 to rupees 72,000. This he will not mention. What will he mention? Oh, Muslim, ghettoization. This is very unfortunate.
No, but you do realize,
Also,
Mr. Abbas, that the quota is illegal. A religion-based quota. No, hang on. How do you determine?
Good question, Rahul Saab. I will answer that,
How
Rahul Saab.
how do you determine that a contractor, for example, requires reservation in bidding for a government public works contract? Why have reservations taken to these extremes? Maybe an education quota dependent on backwardness is fine. And the Supreme Court has sort of said, okay, in some cases we can allow for it. But how is something that is palpably illegal being pushed? Number one. Number two, what is your stand, for example, on the BJP's narrative against Aurangzeb and the fact that he needs to be deplatformed? I'm talking about a whole basket of issues.
I will answer
tonight.
that. I will answer that, Rahul Saab. I'm glad you asked this question on Aurangzeb. I will tell you something about Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb killed his own brother Dara Shikoh. Aurangzeb also revolted against his father and he jailed him. I will in no way say he's a great ruler. He's a cruel ruler. More than Hindus, he's killed lakhs and millions of Shia Muslims. That is the fact of Aurangzeb. Not just that. Aurangzeb attacked a mosque in Golconda, brought that masjid of Golconda to the ground. He killed the Muslim ruler. Why? All he wanted was tax because the Muslim ruler said no. The fact of the matter is the Bharatiya Janata Party today will do Hindu-Muslim.
No, I'm only asking you, Mr. Abbas, what should be the stand of the India bloc? Look, you can put out all those facts. It's like saying that, Rajiv Gandhi, who's accused of presiding over the Sikh massacres, then later on the Gandhi family decides to appoint a Sikh prime minister, so all those sins are washed. I'm asking you simply this, Mr. Abbas, and it's a simple, straightforward question. What is wrong with the BJP's demand suggesting that people who go and pay obeisance to Aurangzeb are actually cocking a snook at the Hindu community? Just a straightforward question. Do you agree or do you not?
I will give you an answer, Rahul Saab. You will like it. I believe that Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, chance pe dance kar rahe hain, chauke pe mauka maar rahe hain. Why? The same Devendra Fadnavis was also Chief Minister previously. Why couldn't he do that? Why is he piggybacking on the success of the movie Chhawa so that he invokes the people's sentiments and he speaks of raising Aurangzeb's tomb?
You're not answering my question. What's the
Why
position?
didn't you do it previously
Fair
when
enough.
you were the Chief Minister?
There is whataboutery. But no, hang on. No, 1 second. No, then fine. All political parties are opportunistic. You can't blame them for it. But they've now put up an issue. And I think that the opposition is floundering right now. They're not taking a position. In fact, what they're doing is coming out and suggesting that the BJP is turning India into a Hindu Pakistan. How is that happening? Nonetheless, let me just bring in Pradeep Bhandari. Pradeep Bhandari, many people say that, look, you're making a big deal of an issue that belongs to the past. You're distracting from all the problems of the present. This is classic opportunism. This is populism. This is something that stirs your Hindu base. Respond to those charges tonight.
Well, Rahulji, at the outset, let me just say one line that if such Karnataka economy is so great, why is the Congress party not able to pay the Grah Lakshmi Yojana beneficiaries and fulfill its promises? On the ground, the Karnataka economy is crumbling. Everybody knows that, and the Congress party will not understand it because it is busy relaxing in the reclining chairs. Now, let me come to the core of the argument.
Finish, Mr.
Rahulji, the core of the argument is very simple.
There are statistics. One second, I just want to come in here, viewers. There are statistics to show that the budgetary deficit has grown exponentially in Karnataka, and the Chief Minister and others, in fact, not just the Chief Minister, but others have come out and said that, look, they're having problems paying out these various guarantees that have been made. So that is a fact. Now, the reasons could be different. Mr. Bhandari, finish your point. Respond to Mr. Abbas, and Mr. Abbas, don't disturb him, please.
Rahulji, I was listening to Mr. Abbas. Yes. I was listening to Mr. Abbas for the last 5.5 to 6 minutes. I just need 50% of that time, not even 50, just 30% of the time. Let me just go to the core of the argument. The core of the argument is simple, Rahulji. The Congress party believes in Sharia, and the Congress party believes in the rule of Aurangzeb. It does not believe in implementing the constitution and letter and spirit. This is why it is supporting the 4% reservation for the Muslims in government contract in Karnataka. This is why it is eulogizing Aurangzeb and not taking an official stand against it. And this is why it does not want the Waqf Amendment Act. And let me address all the three one by one. On the Muslim reservation part in Karnataka, let me quote from the Constituent Assembly debate, Begum Azaz Rasool, the only Muslim women member in the assembly, and I quote her, "To my mind, Muslim reservation is a self-destructive weapon which separates the minorities from the majorities for all time. It is unconstitutional." Let me quote Jawaharlal Nehru on May 26, 1949, "If we grant reservations to the Muslim community and the minority group, it will further increase social imbalance. It will further lead to a situation which will be not good for the country. It is not constitutional." So every Constituent Assembly maker had this opinion that the spirit of the Indian Constitution is not giving religious-based reservation, and the Congress party is going against it because the Congress believes in Sharia. Now correlate the stand of the Congress party on Aurangzeb. About Aurangzeb, yes, if it is needed to be made big, we will further make it big because the Sanskriti of this country is not Aurangzeb, the Sanskriti of this country is Sanatani. I have the original writings of Aurangzeb here. And what did Aurangzeb stood for? Aurangzeb stood for destruction of Hindu mandirs.
No, I've gone over those
stood
facts.
For imposition of jizya. Aurangzeb stood for Shariat, and Aurangzeb stood for replacing every Hindu with a Muslim.
No, my question is, are you raking up this issue?
These are the original writings of the Constitution.
Before a municipal election in Maharashtra, are you raking this up to polarize the vote bank? That's the specific question. Mr. Bhandari, quick.
Rahulji,
yeah. Breaking news coming in.
Abu Azmi does not come from our Abu Azmi does not come from our party. Abu Azmi comes from the opposition rank. It was Abu Azmi who eulogized Aurangzeb. We have the democratic right to rebut that. The Congress party leaders are eulogizing Aurangzeb. We are not doing so. If the opposition has made it stand extremely clear that for them Aurangzeb is the Messiah, I believe that as pure nationalists and patriots, we have the right.
I need to break very quickly that this particular issue is roiling the masses. Two groups have had a violent face-off in Nagpur during demonstration of Hindu organizations, Bajrang Dal and Vishwa Hindu Parishad. In the case of Aurangzeb, police force is on the spot. We don't want to show too much violence here. We don't know if there have been any casualties, viewers, but these are reports that we're getting in. Stone pelting has been reported. The police are there. You can see some arson has taken place. This issue is actually assuming worrying proportions. And I think that political parties need to really come together to either appeal for calm or take this matter to the courts and resolve it. We are being told that tear gas is being fired. This is a very volatile situation. So let's just park those visuals on one side. And I want to go back to some of our guests. The AIMM representative is here with us also. And I want to come straight out to you, Mr. Junaid Khan. This issue is really beginning to now stir the masses. You have a clash. I'm not going to suggest between whom, because that would also lead to, of course, a whole cycle. And we've seen that before. So I'm just leaving it at two groups. You can read between the lines. But the fact is, how can we have a situation where a whole community is now worried about the fact that their entire quotient of sentiment is being ignored by parties such as yours who want to go out there and put this man, Aurangzeb, on a pedestal. This is beginning to hurt the Hindus.
The issue started when the Assam Chief Minister Hemant Biswa Sarma compared Mamata Banerjee and Rahul Gandhi with Aurangzeb, and the UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath compared the Samajwadi leader Akhilesh Yadav with Aurangzeb. And a media person with the intention to take a view from a Samajwadi leader is from Maharashtra. He asked a question, and according to the question, he has given a reply. From there on, after the reply of Samajwadi MLA, the BJP has took this term Aurangzeb and his grave and Sambhaji and the Chhawa movie, and they are politicizing the issue for their political benefit, and they have suspended the Vidhan Sabha session.
Every patriotic Indian should be against Aurangzeb.
One second. Mr. Khan, let's be honest here. Let's be honest that this individual is not really a hero for any community. Mr. Abbas has been balanced enough to tell you that he had a problem also with Shia Muslims. So I'm asking you, why does your party go out there and oppose people who say that perhaps the right historic interpretation of Aurangzeb's crime should be put out there and the person should be deplatformed? Give me that answer. Forget about where this problem started. We all know the genesis, but tell me.
We are not praising him, but in fact, we are saying that it is a part of a history, and if anyone has any objection, they should go through the history which is written in books. But the matter is that the BJP wants to politicize the issue.
Some of your political leaders have gone to the mausoleum, have paid their respects, quote unquote. I mean, that is a provocation, isn't it? And look at the impact on the ground.
No, it is.
The impact which we are seeing today is the provocation or the call which the Maharashtra Chief Minister has called that he will exhume the grave of
Rahul, whether
one second, Mr. Bhandari. Let me bring in Ishkaran. Let me bring in Mr. Ishkaran Bhandari. One second, Pradeep Bhandari, 1 second. Let me bring in Ishkaran Bhandari. I'll let everyone have the final comments, but just a minute. I don't think we can run away from this issue anymore, Ishkaran Bhandari. Is this man worthy of being put on a pedestal, or has the time come to inject a dose of reality and tell people who are going out there, who are idolizing him, that they're doing something which is going to provoke a backlash such as the one that we're seeing on our screens?
Rahul, since you have raised a multiplicity of issues today, including 4% reservation, which to my mind is completely illegal, it cannot stand the test of the scrutiny which the courts will, it will obviously be challenged in court, because for two simple reasons. Philosophically, reservation was given when somebody was denied benefits. You cannot at one time say we were Mughals, we have ruled over India, at the other time seek reservation and things like this. Secondly, religious religion per se is not allowed. But I will stick to the Aurangzeb issue because you are saying that is becoming a little tense on the ground. Across the world, there is a recognition that people who committed genocide are to be punished, and those who support or idealize genociders are to be punished. Europe, you cannot praise Hitler, you cannot praise Nazism, you will go to jail no matter what their free speech laws are. You go to US, forget Christopher Columbus. During the protests recently, they even took down the statues of Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, because they were called slave owners, even though the deplorable practice of slavery was legal in the US system at that time. Still, they have been taken down because it was not the correct thing. The problem when you praise Aurangzeb today is you are praising his actions, and his actions were genocidal. That is why it needs to be deplatformed, and that is a very polite word. What needs to happen is to bring it out that what was the monstrosities committed by him. We need to address history square on, otherwise people who praise Aurangzeb are going to lead India back to the same path, which cannot be allowed, and that is the global practice. It is only in India that we deny genocides, be it what happened in Kashmir, be it what Aurangzeb did, be it the breaking of mandirs, which is also genocide because it's a cultural attack. So we put all that under the carpet so that we get our vote bank politics in place.
So Mr. Abbas, what Mr. Bhandari is saying,
I believe India can only move forward if we do that.
that there should be a law, similarly as you have in Germany, etc., where you can't go out there and praise Hitler and eulogize the Nazis, etc., etc. It's become an issue even in Germany as recently as last month or a month and a half back when there were elections there, and a particular party, some of its leaders have been seen to gesticulate in the manner that Hitler did at one time, and that created a great deal of revulsion. So I'm asking Mr. Abbas, has the time come to pass a law?
I will answer that. It's very interesting that people like Ishkaran and Mr. Pradeep Bhandari will never question the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is here, which has been 10 years in power. They did nothing about it. Now municipal elections are coming.
But then you need to take an official stand. We are against Aurangzeb. We will remove the mazar legally.
Gentlemen, one at a time.
Whether you support Aurangzeb or against Aurangzeb.
1 second, one at a time. Let him finish. Mr. Bhandari, let him finish. Let Mr. Abbas finish. Let Mr. Abbas finish. It's a sensitive issue. Yes.
Yeah,
1 second, gentlemen. 1 second. Yes. Mr. Abbas, finish. Make your point. I'm asking you a simple question. Has the time come for a law to ban anyone going out there? I hate bans, but viewers, has the point come? And this is a question to you, Mr. Abbas, to draw up a law that criminalizes people who go out there intentionally to hurt another community and pay obeisance to an individual who is not, hasn't acquitted himself well even in history.
Rahul Saab, what we just saw the visuals on your channel, what's happening in Nagpur. This is heartbreaking, sir. My Hindu brothers, my Muslim brothers are at par with each other. For what? Who cares about Aurangzeb? He's a cruel
Because some people do.
I stand with you, sir. You said a great thing.
In fact, Asaduddin Owaisi and the Congress party have done. What is he saying? Asaduddin Akbaruddin Owaisi went to Aurangzeb's grave in 2022. Asaduddin Owaisi's rally in 2022.
Gentlemen, please, let's not get het up. Let him finish. Let Mr. Abbas get to the question I asked you, please. I'm running out of time. Yeah.
I completely stand with you that all the respective political parties, all the respective heads of religions, heads of state need to come together.
Well, need to come together. Mr. Bhandari, are you going to lead this? Should there not be a law in place, Mr. Bhandari?
Of course there should be a law.
Okay, 1 second, Mr. Abbas. Let him respond because his government is in power in Maharashtra and they can pass a law.
Mazar in Maharashtra. And can the Congress party first, Mr. Abbas, you are very close to the Congress party. Get it in writing from DK Shiv Kumar and Siddaramaiah and Rahul Gandhi that they will support it. Do not act virtually moralistic when you are hypocritical.
Bring a law.
You will get it. You will be the guys who will come.
Mr. Ishkaran Bhandari, very quickly, final thoughts. Final thoughts. Should there be a law? You've advocated for one. Can there be a law? Or will it violate free speech, etc.?
Rahul, I believe that any laws on things like this, then the governments abuse them. And congratulations to you today. Some people were trying to chill your speech and the High Court stepped in. So that is why laws on these issues, I in Indian context know how governments abuse laws, any government. So I am not favoring that. But we need to spread awareness so that at least people know. And deplatforming is a voluntary thing which at least happens with people. And we don't cover history under a very rosy carpet to satisfy certain vote banks.
Okay, well, viewers, look, this is a sensitive issue and it's spiraling out of control on the ground. So we need to be very, very careful about what we say, when we say it, and who we say it to. Because I think someone needs to come up with a solution. This can't drag on. This will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we've seen it in the past. And I don't know if it will even end with this next cycle of elections in Maharashtra. But I want to move on because the theme remains the same, viewers. There's a degree of